I've come to the woods again today to talk about a fragrance that has a very close relationship with nature. Renier claims Behique is the sorcerer of his collection, and it certainly has a few tricks up its sleeve. So let's dive into it and see if we can find any magic in the woods today. Behique is part of Renier's Taino collection, which also comprises of Cacique, Habana 500 and Delirious. The Taino were an indigenous people that used to live in Cuba, and they lived off the land, so its earth and its vegetation were very important to their way of life. And it's this that Renier takes his inspiration from for this Taino collection, and specifically Behique takes its inspiration from the shaman of the tribe. Okay, let's get this out of the way at the start. Behique is not a panty dropper, it's not a club banger, it's not an easygoing office scent, but what it is an Art and Olfactions Awards finalist 2020. Let's start off by taking a look at the bottle and the notes. The notes are rum, basil, magnolia, cannabis, tobacco flower, anise, amber, patchouli, cedar, cashmere wood, pepper, sandalo, vetiver and tobacco. Behique is a creative and artistic fragrance composed by Christian Carbonell, and please don't interpret artistic as overly challenging or hard to wear, because for me it isn't. Personally, I find this a very enjoyable wear, but as we know, scent is subjective and not everybody is going to think in that way. Renier even says himself that this fragrance isn't designed to be commercial and please the majority. This is the kind of scent for people who are looking for something a bit more than that. So the opening of this is quite attention grabbing. There's a hint of boozy rum mixed in with some bright green herbal accords, and there's a real buzz, there's a real energy to the opening of this fragrance. And then to juxtapose this bright green energy, there's a hint of a damp earth accord, which smells very much like the woodland floor right here where I am now. So I'd describe the opening of this as unique, definitely interesting, yet satisfying. As it dries down, it starts to smooth out a little bit and some woody accords begin to reveal themselves, but there's some pepper in here which maintains this buzzing energy, and it's this energy that runs throughout Behique that I love so much, and maybe it's designed to be there to tie in with the magic, the sorcery of the shaman, but the energy of Behique is something that I really like because you have this fairly somber damp earth accord mixed with this buzzing energy, and it's just a fantastic contrast. As it dries down even more, eventually it becomes much smoother, and that's probably because of the sandalwood and the cashmere in here. And you'll also notice that there's rum and tobacco in this fragrance. This is not your traditional boozy tobacco fragrance. In fact, if I didn't know the note breakdown, I probably wouldn't have guessed there was rum and tobacco in here, because I'm used to smelling more resinous and sweet fragrances when they're boozy tobacco fragrances, and this is really not a sweet fragrance. There's a little flicker of rum in the beginning, but other than that, I think the tobacco is more of this earthy, smoky type of tobacco, again perhaps to tie in with the shaman. The overall effect is an energized, bold, earthy fragrance. Possibly challenging for some people to wear, but certainly not everyone. I'd say to appreciate Behique, you want to be some way into your fragrance journey. You want to have maybe progressed from just wearing more simplistic designers, and you want to be exploring some darker, richer, more complex fragrances. If you would rather stand out by smelling interesting rather than mass appealing, then it's certainly that type of fragrance. If you're happy to wear a fragrance that you just want to smell nice and you want to blend in, then Behique probably isn't for you. But if it resonates with the style of fragrances that you're interested in, I think Behique can be a real confidence-inspiring scent. Okay, I'm just going to give you a whiskey analogy here to try and help you understand how I feel about this fragrance. Usually when I drink whiskey, and I do enjoy whiskey, I like a smooth, sweet, mellow, well-rounded type of whiskey, mass appealing if you like. But you also get whiskies that are very peaty and earthy and harder to drink. Every now and then I'm in the mood for one of those types of whiskies, and they're a little wince-inducing at first, and you perhaps think it's not for you, but then quite soon after that I go back for more. There's something satisfying about that sharp, earthy taste. So it's not the kind of whiskey that I would choose to drink every time, but when I'm in the right mood, hits the spot. That's sort of how I feel about Behique. It's not an everyday fragrance for me, but when I'm in the right mood, I enjoy it immensely. Let's do some fragment for Behique. So in terms of the performance, for me, it's very good. I get a decent projection. It's not a massively wide projection, I don't think. It's not going to fill a room, but then I really don't think it's the style of scent that you do want to fill a room with. I think it's something you would want someone to really enjoy and appreciate if they got a little closer in, but there is some projection, and longevity on this is excellent. I'm getting around 8 to 10 hours on this one. In terms of when to wear this, because it's got these rich, dark, earthy tones, I think autumn and winter would be the best seasons. I could easily wear this on some cooler spring days as well, though. I think I probably would find this a little too much, a little too intense for warmer temperatures, so this would not be a go-to fragrance for me in the summer. The occasion to wear this is when you want to make a statement to yourself, for your own enjoyment and perhaps to boost your confidence, but also a statement to others, a statement that says, I'm a little more interesting and a little more unique than most of the people in the room right now. Your best bet for buying this fragrance is from Renier's website, where it sells for €217 for 50ml. This is a 50ml bottle. Please don't blind buy this. This is a fragrance that is going to appeal to specific tastes. Renier does do samples, so do get some samples of his fragrances before you buy them. Yeah, it's a lot of money to spend on this style of fragrance when you might not be quite sure if it's really something that's going to resonate with you. By the way, I love the presentation on these bottles. To me, I think they look like little potion bottles. The cap is gold and it's heavy, not plastic, and Renier's name and logo is engraved into it. So if you like fragrances that dare to be different, if you are a person who dares to be different, then I think Behique is a wonderful creation and it's definitely worth checking out. This has been a relatively straightforward, sit down and talk to the camera style of review, but I would like to point you in the direction of another fantastic YouTube video that is based around this fragrance. My friend George the Fragrance Apprentice made a video about Behique. It was a Halloween special last year. So if you want a different take on that fragrance, if you want a different style of video, a more cinematic style, then do go and check George's video. I'll leave that linked in the description of this video. As you would expect from George, it is beautifully shot and it really explores the feeling of Behique in quite some depth. As you know, I love nature, I love the beauty of the natural world, and this year I feel like my appreciation of all this has deepened even more. It's been a funny old year, scary, unpredictable, ever-changing, so much unknown. For me, nature is the antidote to all that because it's a constant, it's something that's always there, something that you can always turn to that remains relatively unchanged by recent events. At a time when the world has changed, at a time when the human race has had to pull together and remain as positive as we can, there is still so much anger and negativity, and if I'm honest, this really saddens me. And when I feel that way, I take comfort in knowing I can turn to the natural world and revel in its beauty. Whether this fragrance is mass appealing or not is irrelevant. It's massively appealing to me because it connects me to all this, to nature. It reminds me that I have this to turn to, and I take a lot of comfort in that. So thank you, Renier, for creating this fragrance. I like it a lot.